Welcome back to K-Shot Press, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eddie Law. Joining us today is one half of the headliner LFA 206 on April 11th. That's this Friday from Prior Lake, Minnesota. He is Mufasa, Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani. Jean-Paul, how's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. I appreciate you taking the time. Are you still in California?
I'm actually in Vegas now.
Oh, in Vegas. All right. How's the weather? Because it's close to. I'm in Phoenix, and it's pretty similar.
Yeah, it's definitely warm today, but as a Cali boy, I'm here for it.
There you go, man. Enjoy it. All right, you got a big fight in front of you, man. But first, let's talk about you, right? Everyone's talked about it. There's hundreds of interviews at this point about your lineage, but you have a hell of a lineage, man, in jiu-jitsu. Your father trained under the legendary Helio Gracie. He worked with Hoist. I mean, that's a crazy resume already, and then you absorbed all of it. What's it like being training not just under your father, but constantly training under legends?
Yeah, I'm definitely blessed to have been born into the sport, and especially with so many legends that I've learned from. And I would say that it's it's a privilege and an honor to have a foundation, a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu foundation that I've sort of built my style on top of. I'm super grateful for it, and I remember it throughout my learning process and my career, and it allows me to build off of it.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly like if you look up any interview that you were in, any article I read about you, I mean, it's there. Like it's probably hard. It's probably easier for me to name what you haven't done than what you have. So let's
Thanks,
go ahead and
brother.
just get past that. Let's did you okay? When you got your black belt, I think 2022, right?
Yes.
Did your father, did you and your dad get emotional when he wrapped the black belt around you? Because you can imagine, a son doing, making his father proud, and vice versa, watching your young one become a man and get his black belt. Did you guys get emotional at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a full circle moment.
Mm-hmm.
My dad giving me my white belt, when I was a little kid, to then having him give me my black belt was definitely a special moment. And when I compete in jiu-jitsu, or when I fight in the cage, I feel uh, honored to be able to represent my lineage and where I started. Even though I've learned from so many different professors over the years, working now with Nick Boley, who is kind of taken my game to a completely different level, and just helped me like build my skills on top of my foundation. But yeah, having that full circle moment with my dad was definitely something special, and a moment that I'll remember forever.
There you go, man. Let's shout out some of your teammates that help you get to this point so far. With a little bit of who gives you this. So who gives you the toughest rounds in the gym and sparring?
That's a great question. I For this camp specifically, I've been training in Vegas here at the PI. And one thing about training here is there is no shortage of just absolute killers. So I've had, quite an array of sparring partners while I've been out here, specifically for this camp. I've had many for past camps, but for this camp, I've been working with a guy named Amaran Gogolate, and he's a giant guy, and he's a killer. And I've essentially, like, to be completely honest, I've lost pretty much every round against him, but I've made huge improvements personally. So I feel like I'm very prepared going into this fight in terms of my training partners, and the game plan, and the different style matchups with our body types and stuff like that. I feel like I've done a great job, thanks to my team and my coach, Mateus Nakashe, who's out here, who's kind of set everything up. um, I feel very, very prepared, and I'm just kind of trusting in that. As the fight gets closer, and as the nerves and the diet and everything comes up, I'm just really leaning on the preparation that I've done for this camp to keep my mind in the right mental space.
Yeah, definitely. And look, the sniper is a good training partner. I tell you that. That
Yeah.
dude's been killing an octagon 3 in a row. I don't know if you saw this last one. I can't remember exactly. It was such a close fight, split decision when he ended up taking it against Leandro Silva. I'm sorry if I get it wrong, folks, but yeah, dude, that dude's a killer. So that's definitely a hell of a training partner to have, man. That's a good one.
Yeah, no, I'm so so grateful for all the experience I gained from working with him, because he's much further along in his career than I am. And to be working with a guy that you know has over 20 fights, and to make little subtle improvements, and focusing more on like the small wins in the round, and the game plan and everything like that. Yeah, just grateful.
There you go. And it's not easy to deal with at 6'1" when you're sparring with him. I'll tell you that much.
No.
He's crazy. All right. Who in your gym is, in jiu-jitsu wise, who in your gym is the toughest role? I mean, any gym, whether Vegas, California, wherever. Who gives you the toughest role?
Out here in Vegas, I've rolled a couple times with Renato Canuto, who obviously everybody knows is a very high level black belt. But to be like completely honest, I would say my wrestling and jiu-jitsu coach, Jesse Doyle, him and I, we really push each other, and he's one of the only guys that can like catch me. Like he can catch me, and I think it's important to have a guy that you train with that you submit to, like that teaches you, and that you learn from. So I would say Jesse Doyle, and then my teammate Jonathan Powell, who is a 35er, but his jiu-jitsu is on a completely different level. And him and I always have some very, very tough rounds. But yeah, no, there's no shortage of high level jiu-jitsu, when it comes to the guys that I train with. And yeah, I just feel like if you have an open mind, and you don't focus on the losses in the gym, and you focus more on like learning experiences, I because I do that, I feel like I'm always evolving. Like I'm not, my jiu-jitsu game isn't just the simple basics. It's constantly evolving. I'm constantly trying to steal stuff from people, learn stuff from people. So yeah.
There you go. And Jesse Doe, for those that don't know, ladies and gentlemen, hell of a coach as well on his
Oh
own,
yeah.
especially with the kids. I've seen some of his kids in tournaments. It's just like, where are they coming from? They do that in California. That's crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, he's an amazing human and an even better coach. So grateful to be one of his guys for sure.
Yeah, and people don't overlook the 35ers when you're rolling jiu-jitsu, right? Those little guys are probably the nastier, some of the nastiest guys to roll with for sure.
Bro, he's a 35er that's stronger than most welterweights I go with.
Dude, I just got a jiu-jitsu class this morning, and my shoulders are killing me. So I'm rolling with little guys. It's
yeah.
Anyway, all right, but 2 wins in a row, a quick TKO victory over Adam Wamsley, then going to distance take decision over Victor Quicks, and right into a main event spot at LFA 206. What do you think of this run you have so far in LFA?
Man, I'm so grateful for the guys at LFA, like Ed, who I've known since I was a little kid, and Mark Berry, who does such a great job at setting up fights and getting these matchups put together. I'm grateful to have grown in the organization. I think it's outside of the UFC. There's no other organization that has so many prospects and so many high level guys. So to be one of those guys fighting for a main event, once again for them is it's an honor, and it's also one of those things where I have to realize that I am one of those guys, and I'm right there knocking on that door. But one thing at a time. I got a tough guy in front of me that I have to deal with, and yeah, just grateful for the opportunity to be with an organization that is going to set me up for my future.
There you go. And that's the great thing about LFA is they're not, that's their purpose. They want to see you grow. They're always trying to see you guys get bigger and do bigger things. So that's a great spot to be. Man, if it wasn't for those cuts against Jacoby Jones, man, you're looking at a 6-fight win streak. That would be, you probably at the big show at this one, but let's get into the meat and potatoes of this one. April 11th, LFA 206, Kegan Gennrich, who actually beat Jones for the lightweight strap before dropping his next fight. How are you feeling coming into the matchup?
Man, I'm feeling really, really good. Like I mentioned before, I feel like my preparation for this fight is key for like my confidence going into it. I'm very aware that he's a very skilled guy, very experienced. But at the same time, like I think part of my approach to victory is honestly not really focusing on what he's good at, and focusing more on what I'm good at. And just kind of looking forward to like how the fight will play out, because so many people think like, oh, this is how it's going to go, this is what he's going to do, and Honestly, I don't care. Like I don't care. I have done all the work, and I just want to go out there and be free. And I feel like when I'm free and I enter that flow state, there's really nothing that can stop me. So going into this one against Kegan, like I feel good. I have a good intuitive feeling going into it, and um, I'm not thinking about it too much, honestly.
Mhm. Right, that's good. That's good. I mean, look, you're this is a massive fight, right? You're facing a former champ. Are you treating this as just another fight, just to make sure you keep that flow going that you like, or do you feel like, man, I get this win, man, that you can't deny me anymore? Like, how you feeling on that end of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like there's been times in my career where I felt like I was ready, to make that next step, and life taught me that that wasn't my time. And going into this one, there's definitely a lot of voices that are like, oh, you're ready, it's your time to go to the UFC, this and that. And honestly, like, I'm not too focused on that. I think that me getting to the UFC is inevitable, whether it's after this fight or whether it's after 5 6 fights from now. I'm not really focused on that at all. I'm focused more on my self development as a human and as a fighter. And I'm trusting in God's plan and the universe of when my time is right. And obviously I believe in myself and I back myself 100%. I check all the boxes, but ultimately at the end of the day, nothing matters. Like, you can do everything right and go out there and lose, and you can miss training and not take it seriously and go out there and win. So I believe that I'm going to try to enjoy the process as much as possible and not focus too much on the outcome or what comes after that, and just be present every punch, every kick, every grappling exchange, and honestly just enjoy it, because this is what I love to do. I do it every day.
Yeah, you do it every day, and hopefully soon for quite a big paycheck,
Yeah,
preferably.
for
So
sure.
we'll see how it goes. But all right, you get the win on Friday. You're in the main event spot. The cameras are on you. You get some mic time. Who or what are you calling for next?
That's another great question. I said before, and I'm sorry that it might not be the answer that everyone's looking for, but I know that in that moment after I win, when I get the mic, I will have things to say. But that's after the fight, and my focus right now is this interview, being here right now. And when that time comes, I'll definitely have some things to say, and some names to call out, some organizations to call out. You know what I mean? But um, yeah, until then, I'm just kind of taking it one step at a time right now.
All right, let's get some quick fire 110. We'll get you on your way. Who is your biggest supporter?
My biggest supporter, hands down, has to be my mom. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to believe in myself like I do, and live the way that I live and carry myself the way that I do. Since I can remember, she's been a rock for me. And I know that no matter what happens, she's always going to back me and support me. So shout out to my mom. And yeah, I would say that she's the one that gives me my fighting spirit 100%.
There you go, folks. There's a reason Mother's Day is probably the biggest holiday outside of Christmas. All right,
That's right.
it's
Yeah.
a big deal. All right, first meal after your victory.
First meal after my victory. I think that answer has changed over the years. When I was fighting at 55, food was definitely
Oh yeah.
the number one thing on my mind throughout the entire training camp. And now fighting at 70, I'm much more comfortable. I don't have that sort of like focus on food and stuff like that. I live my life in a very like intentional and healthy way. So uh, honestly, like, I would love just a nice ribeye, medium rare, with some butter on top. Keep it healthy, and yeah, that's probably what I would go for.
Ribeye not a bad answer
Yeah.
at all. That's a good one. All right. Favorite combat sports athlete?
Favorite combat sports athlete? I would say, honestly, I feel like growing up, I was always inspired by George St. Pierre, the way that he carried himself as a true martial artist, and continues to do so even after fighting. So I take a lot of inspiration from him and how he carries himself, how he lives his life. But a lot of the times we don't know our idols, so and we forget about the people around us. So I would say like my teammates, my core group of teammates are people that I really look up to, and they inspire me constantly. You got Jonathan Powell, Shane Collins, Ozzie Diaz, Dione, Bruno Souza. And if I were to pick one of those five, it would be Ozzie Diaz, because he he has done so much for us in the past year, getting signed to the UFC and showing us, what it's like being a UFC fighter, and kind of leading the way for all of us. So to answer your question, I would say Ozzie Diaz. Such a great human, such a great inspiration, and yeah, I'm grateful to call him my friend and one of my teammates for sure.
And he picked up his win at UFC 313, man, and he got very
That's right.
emotional in the post fight, talking about how hard he worked and everything. Honestly, it's very refreshing to see someone, accomplish, like it might be a little goal, first one, but
Yeah,
it's a big one for him. So that's huge.
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
On April 11th against Kegan Gennrich at LFA 206, what can fans expect from Mufasa?
I would say on this Friday, expect the unexpected. I'm prepared to take the fight wherever it needs to go. Whenever I step in the cage, it's a banger, no matter what. I have an exciting fighting style, and I think even if everything goes wrong, that's it's still going to be a show, and no matter what, I'm gonna find a way to get my hand raised. So, yeah, expect the unexpected.
There you go, folks. Don't miss it. LFA 206, April 11th from Mystic Lake Casino Hotel in Prior Lake, Minnesota. Tickets available at LFA.com through Ticketmaster, broadcasting live on UFC Fight Pass, featuring a legend in the making, ladies and gentlemen, Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani. Jean-Paul, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.